All right. Arin Rockman age. Back at you with a Rock and Metal Faith podcast. Once again, I'm flying solo. We're doing another bonus episode. And just me. No Chris today. All right. I've been meaning to do some of these for a while. For those who didn't hear the last bonus, this is really only our second one. With these bonus episodes, I'm going to try and touch on albums we may not get around to covering with the main podcast. Uh, it just happens that I know a whole lot more music than Chris does. Instead of trying to shut him into stuff he doesn't have or get him to research stuff that he's a little unfamiliar with, I'll go easy and I'll do some stuff on my own type of thing. I've been meaning to do these bonus episodes a little more often than I have been. Thought I would try and do it every other week or whatever, but sometimes life gets in the way. And this week, with the main episode has been delayed just due to some technical issues we've been having, and thought it would be a good time to get a bonus episode. So there we have. Now, for this bonus, we're going to talk about one of my favorite bands, possibly in my top 5 favorites, which changes all the time depending on what day of the week you ask me. But I want to talk about Res, or Resurrection Band. When they first came out, they were known as Resurrection Band. And over the years, shortened their name. They went from Resurrection Band to Resurrection to Res. And as you saw rolling up there, we're going to talk about Rainbow's End, which was the second album for Resurrection Band. It was also the last time they were recorded on Starson. And the version we're going with, which doesn't change much other than how it sounds, I suppose, was the Girder reissue. And when you get the remastered reissues from Girder, you get little trading cards, which is kind of cool. This one is of one of the guitarists, Stu Heiss. So for those who are watching along instead of just listening along, you can see little pictures like this. Maybe I should show it closer. There we go. Resurrection Band lineup here featured Glenn Kaiser on lead and backing vocals, and as well as electric guitars, and did the solos on a couple tracks on here, Paint a Picture and Sacrifice of Love. Wendy Kaiser does lead and backing vocals. So yeah, Rez has been fronted by Glenn and Wendy, husband and wife duo. Also on guitar, we have Stu Heiss, who plays electric guitar, piano, organ, a synthesizer, a Heiss box guitar synthesizer, acoustic, and did acoustic guitars on Strongman and Paint a Picture. And also in Res, we have Jim Denton on bass and acoustic guitar, and John Heron on drums. And also listed on the track listing or the band listing is Tom Cameron, who did harmonica for some of the songs. And I know that when they did the recording for 20 Years Live, Stu was on that recording. So was he with them for the whole 20 years? Possibly. Maybe he came and left and came back again. I don't know. But he was with them 20 years later when they did the live recording for that. All right. Yeah, leaving. So it's a cool little picture here. It looks, I'm not sure who this is. In front of some windows on the back there shows same person kind of up in the sky. Maybe they're talking about the rapture. I don't know. Or trying to depict the rapture. Maybe someone up in heaven. I don't know. Actually, there's some cool little liner notes in the booklet here. Talking about the song, we're talking about the album. I'm not going to read them all out, but talking about how people look for hope and this and that, and they look for rainbows, and usually that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There is a metaphorical pot of gold, they said, and I'm kind of paraphrasing what was said at the back of the liner notes there. But they do talk about how there is a rainbow's end when we all meet our destiny type of thing and trying to offer hope. I know Rez came from Chicago, came from the slums, or was based out of the poorest part of Chicago and in the slums. They saw people at the most desperate need type of thing, and a lot of their songs are like that. They will offer hope to those needing hope. Other songs um, aren't straightforward, preachy type of thing, but they'll deal with real life situations and the hopelessness of some of that, and then get in and talk about hope in those situations through Jesus Christ type of thing. Which is, I think, what makes them relatable, makes them probably what helped their popularity is they know real life type of thing instead of just saying, "Well, hey, everything's hunky dory," like a lot of preachy bands were. They go, "We know where you are. We know where you're coming from. We've been there. We see it. We're down in the slums and on Skid Row with all you guys. We live this too," type of thing. But we live with hope. And so a lot of the songs on there talked about that. Was one of the things too mentioned was they weren't afraid to shy away from political things. And on the politics there, Rez was one of the first bands to tackle apartheid with the song Africans. Yeah, album Rainbow's End was produced by the band, Resurrection Band. It features the songs Midnight Sun, Strong Man, Africans, we've already touched on, dealing with apartheid, Skyline, Paint a Picture, the first of three ballads on here, Rainbow's End, the title track, Concert for a Queen, at least that's what it says on the track listing. Although when they sing it, it's more Concert for a King, talking about the King of Kings. And that's, again, a slow ballad type song. It's probably my least favorite off the record. And then they get into Sacrifice of Love, the Wolf Song, which deals with basically hypocrisy or doing everything for looks and for show. You got to look a certain way, you got to be a certain way, you do all this, and you know exactly how to play the part, but it's all just like a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's all just an act type of thing, and that really gets you nowhere. And then the last song on here is Every Time It Rains. Uh, Very touching song, but that's a ballad again. And as much as I don't like ballads particularly, I do like Rez's ballads. Maybe it's because they're not sappy, they're not over sentimental. They just find a good topic that, again, it's everyday life, really, and then and find a topic that requires that emotion of a slow ballad feel. Favorite songs on this record, as I go down the track listing, it's kind of hard to pick a favorite. Strawman, Skyline, Sacrifice of Love, really they're all good. So yeah, that's what I got to say about Rainbow's End. Do I have a favorite track list or track off this one? It'd be hard to pick a favorite track or two. Again, I go for probably the more faster ones. The guitars on this album is really good. They get busy at times and lots of riffs and licks that are kind of hidden in the mix a little bit, but they're there. Uh, they're often compared to Led Zeppelin musically. Their voices sounds nothing like Led Zeppelin, but musically, I could say yes, they are. They got the heavy blues rock feel of the '70s that was going on, and there's definitely a lot of similarities to the same style that Zeppelin was doing. So if you're a fan of those guys, you like Rez, you like Rainbow's End. As they get into the '80s, they'll get into a little bit of techno stuff, a little bit more synthesizer, keyboard, and then sometimes even heavier on the guitars. making them more of a rock band than a blues rock band type of thing. But for Rainbow's End, they're getting going. And there's, like I said, they're a second record, and so that's what I gotta say. It's really good. One of my favorites. Not my favorite of theirs, but still a great, strong record. And we'll just leave it at that, I guess, and sign off. Thanks for listening. And if you're just seeing this on one of the social medias, please check out the full length podcast. Lots of great episodes on there, all kinds of things. As far as we're talking about the history of some of the bands, the history of the genre, Christian rock and metal. We're talking about top guitarists. We found a 100 top Christian rock guitar list, and we're talking about the artists on there. Lots of great topics. And who knows, if there's a topic you want covered that we haven't, drop us a line, and maybe we'll get around to it. All right. Arin Rockman H, out.